Great games in the evening. This is Jonathan Albin, and we are NycosRPG. And today I have a real treat for you. We're going to be doing Session Zero Chronicles and covering the geography of Nikos. And I have the all new ninth iteration map to share. So we're going to be talking about the continents and how they are positioned, the possible new places to search beyond the normal boundaries of the Nikos frame, and the redefinition of the Tween Sea and the Blackwaters, and the mountain ranges, the points of particular interest within the realm, and of course, to talk about the potential new adventures in the undiscovered countries. So let's get started, shall we? Well, so today I'm going to introduce first the map. I'm going to take you on a tour verbally of it, and then we will come back and talk about these particular topics once we've gone through that, shall we? All right. So, first of all, let's go turn the map on. All right, this is Dark Shards, the ninth iteration, and the first thing you'll notice is that the oceans are deep red, burgundy, and black. And this is because Nikos has forever been bathed in a light from a source that does not cause the sky to emanate a blue, but rather a mauve or a pinkish color. As a matter of fact, the background for the Session Zero Chronicles has been in that basically the morning pinks of the sky, if you will, the brightest colors of the sky. And this therefore has affected the photosynthetic quality of the plants and such that live in the waters of Nikos. Hence, they take on a reddish or indeed at the depths, a black appearance. And so when I speak of the Tween Sea or the Twain Sea, depends on how you want to pronounce it, Tweyn, the Twain Sea is the area between it, I guess you'd call it the water inlet in between the two primary continents that passes directly through the center of the map, where unfortunately it still says labels. They didn't get rid of those. But the in the center of the map is Point's Edge, for example, and the lines that you see across the waters are described as source lines or ley lines, and they carry power from certain nodes and nexuses across the surface. And you'll see that several of them are represented on the map by gray obelisks, and these obelisks are the sources of these ley lines of power, and they are fundamentally the means by which the monorail uh, train mechanism works from city to city by coordinating distance from these twain sites. So there we go. The cities are named in yellow, and all of the names that are on here are those that are familiar, and most of them are from the previous iteration. There are a couple of new ones that I've added names to that before were not called such. For example, Cor Corum is now Cord Corum, as the iterational champion eventually led a revolt there and actually took control of the city, re-establishing the correctness or the rightness of their government. And that was, of course, Lord Torg Cord of Cord. You'll also see several names of cities that either were not visited in this last iteration or were perhaps never named when people did visit them. So Salafort Castle to the north, Mercania to the south, Burglecut to the far east there. Now, this appears to be mostly looks like two continents, but in all truth, it's actually three continents. The large continent to the left side, with the Vale of Moria and Farthfell as prominent features, is known as Gralym, Grahlym, and Gralym is the uh, what's also known as the Western continent, and it's only connected by a tenuous land bridge through the country of Eldrasar, wherein the city of El Sadar is primary. Then the northern portion, that area that is above High Point, going northward, is considered to be Nordlym, and that's Nordlym. I'll be adding the continental names eventually as well. And then the southern continent is Yarlym, which is Yarlym. So Yarlym, Gralum, and Nordlym are the continental names. They all have the word lim associated with them because it's literally talking about the magic of their source. So the Yarlym, their magic source is the beings known as Yarlym. The Gralum are bestial creatures, and so that's the idea of the magic of beasts. And then Nordlym is magic of the north. So therein are those particulars. Final thing to mention are the green towers, green, bright green emblems on the map, and those are representative of the uh, spires of the priest kings, and they represent all of them that are on the planet at the current time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of them appears to be. I might have miscounted, roughly 16 of them. And we will go more into the specifics of this map here in a second, but I just wanted to share with you what was on the map and what the maps represent. And the city names are all we have at this point because this is early in the iteration and we haven't fully decided where any group is particularly going to be going. So any place that does not have a city name on it, therefore, is for this iteration virtually unexplored. There may be localized maps, but we'll deal with that when people enter into those particular zones. So let's get back to our checklist. Alrighty, so geography. Nord. I've gone over the continent names: Nordlym, Gralum, and Yalem, and the. Oh, I did want to go back and show you the other two areas that we haven't talked about. So back quickly. So there is a indication from this that there are ley lines that lead out to a place that has never been explored beyond the realm of the continents of Nikos. There's been no travel into the Blackwaters for reasons that were mentioned in previous iterations, and I'm not going to go into it at this point. But the point in the North Ocean in the Blackwaters north of Salafor, this broadcasting facility, this site of from which the trains gather its power, is nothing's known about it except it is a place called Skull Island. This Koll, and so there's not a lot of information known about that specific location. And then I talk about the southern atolls, and the southern atolls are this area just off of the coast of Maria, where it looks like there are jetties. These are actually very closely connected and interconnected uh, archipelago of small islands that could be explored, and those are two prominent changes to the map structure this iteration. The other thing to note is that the other six, one, two, three, four, five, six. The 6 points, with the exception of the one that's north of Salafort, are all accounted as the um, ziggurats of the past, although their locations may have been adjusted or whatever by current knowledge, or perhaps the civilizations shifted their locations. But these pinnacle points are also associated with great ziggurats of the past. So, fun and interesting places to explore once people start going to places on the map. Alrighty. So, having discussed that, let's discuss a bit about the Tween Sea or the Twain Sea. The Tween Sea or the Twain Sea, the one that splits it down the middle, is is just as much a blackwater. There are places where you cannot see land from either coast, and it is dangerous for crossing purposes. But the farther north you go, the more safe, the less time you're spending in the blackwaters. So there is the possibility of travel. Now, this iteration does have stars in the sky at night, but it's only been about 300 years of their awareness of them, and so I don't believe that there has anybody yet create a zoologically. That's a great job. Great. Zodiac. There's no construction of star patterns as of yet, and I'm not even certain that the stars are static in the sky at this point. We'll figure that out in this iteration. The primary mountain ranges are the Shadowhorn, Grithwall, and the Silverblades. And the Grithwall and the Silverblades are the mountain ranges that run from virtual north to virtual south, and the Shadowhorn is the very strange mountain range that circles around the northern part of the area of what was Cryopathia. Now we have yet to even find out what it's been renamed or what the cultures are calling it these days, but that's uh, the primary three mountain ranges. And it's one that's almost circular and doesn't seem to have any real patternistic nature. And then the others, of course, are Grithwall, ancient home of the Grimm, and the Silverblades, the ancestral home of the Primus. Next, we have two places of history that are noted for the dragon's calls of the past. Teora's Watch, a place that was instrumental in calling to the dragons in the third iteration, and Snowland's Calling, which was originally Cywin's Calling, now renamed because Snowland provided the call this time around, calling people to protect the world as the Southern forces, the undisclosed forces, appeared off the edge of the map near the end of the iteration. Not much is known about that, and her appearance there was instrumental in clearing the area. In addition, the cities of Valara and Tralara, Valara being the most recent addition to the cities of dragons, Valara being the place wherein the first being from Nykos to ever ascend to the status of therefore transiting by the great jump to uh, reach Nimbus occurred. And then Tralara being the last vestige of the freedoms of the Everdark before the boundaries were broken, and now the Everdark and Undersky have commerce with one another. Finally, the Sundered Cliffs are not nearly what they were in the previous iteration. The years of Blackwater erosion has brought them down to being more of a collection of broken islands and rock outcroppings along the northwest coast of Grolum. Now, when I speak of the undiscovered countries, those of you that are familiar with the Nykos story even vaguely realize that there's something like 127 nations that exist on Nykos, and as is always the case at the beginning of an iteration, much of that information is lost or has been lost. And in this case, it is apparently attributed, at least to some extent, to a purification process that was done, known as the purification protocols, by the um, priest kings of Nykos. And very little is known about them. Players have made the accusations and the beliefs that they are Yarlum, the actual insectoid species race from previous iterations. But the further we go into the third iteration, into the ninth iteration, the less is fully known about them because those sources either have been proven wrong or haven't gathered enough information to establish their claims. So this is all interesting stuff. The main point is that it leads the world of Nykos open to a lot of interpretation and expansion and exploration. And so if you are a role player and are fascinated with the idea of doing the exploration and mapping, I would encourage you to seek out a NycosRPG game wherever you can. I operate a game on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., and that's open to anybody who is a viewer on Twitch. So twitch.tv/NycosRPG is where that is filmed, and that's every Sunday morning. And you simply have to, I'm sorry, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. And all you have to do is simply sign on to onto Twitch, make sure your email has been verified, and then you can leave comments in the comment section, the chat box. And if you can leave information in the chat box, you can actually be a participant in that game. And we also have our regularly scheduled games at Board Games Paradise on Mondays and Tuesdays. So if you are up for a live role play game and want to come and play at a table where I'm game mastering, Monday at 6 p.m., a group known as, what do they call it this time? I think we're still under the name Bucket Brigade for now, but I think we're changing. And we also have the Tuesday group, which are calling themselves the Platter Platoon, I think, because they are adding lots and lots of stuff to the platter that they want to do in the adventure. So that's Mondays and Tuesdays, 6 p.m., Redlands, California, Board Game Paradise. I also have a virtual game during midweek, and that is by invitation only, so you can ping me if you want to get invited to that. And then finally, I have a Patreon group. So if you join my Patreon at the $20 level, you get access to the Discord, and therefore can join us, and we play online on Sundays at 1 o'clock p.m. till 5. So there you've got my schedule, and I'll make sure to get that posted onto Twitch here in a moment. Make sure it's all up to date. Thank you for being with me today. If you've liked this show, make sure you follow us on Twitch, and if you see this on YouTube, make sure you click a like and follow, so that and subscribe, so that you get updated every time I put out new videos. This has been Session Zero Chronicles. I'm Jonathan Albin. This is NycosRPG.